Hey, fourth grade. I hope everybody's doing well today. Hope you guys are keeping busy, keeping active. What we're going to do today is we're going to kind of take a step back just a little bit from where we left off right before the break and everything. We were talking about moving in three dimensions. We talked about Louise Nevelson and the artist who would find objects, put them together kind of like in a little box, and then kind of use one color to take away the idea of all these multiple things. So it's just one thing, one big, huge sculpture. And we started working in 3D. We are going to take just a little bit of a step back. What we're going to do is we're going to go back to 2D, but I'm going to show you three different ways that you can create something that's 2D look 3D, look three-dimensional. It's just three little techniques of hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling. And we're going to practice these three techniques shortly, and then we're going to kind of put them together to create what is a flat circle and try to make it into what would appear to be a sphere. So we're going to practice these techniques a little bit, and then we're going to apply those techniques shortly afterwards. So I'll be back in just a moment to show you how we're going to do hatching, cross-hatching, and stippling. We'll see you in a minute. So for this part of the video, what we're going to do is we're just going to practice those three techniques, and we're going to use a flat shape. We're going to use three circles. 1, 2, 3. And for this project, all you need is just a regular piece of paper. Doesn't matter if it's lined or blank or whatever, just a scrap piece of paper, and you can use a marker, you can use a pencil, you can use a color stick, whatever you have at home, feel free to use those. I'm going to start with a marker just so you can read and make the words in the circles a little bit darker, but I'm going to switch to a pencil. So the first one we're just going to label hatching. Second one we'll label cross hatching. And the last one we're going to do is stippling. Now, if we're going to make a 2D shape into a 3D shape, the first thing we have to figure out where the light source is coming from. So at the top of my paper, I'm just going to make it coming from the same direction, so it's a little bit easier for each one. So I'm just going to draw a line that's coming straight down on this circle, a line straight down here, and a line straight down here. That's just going to help remind me where my light source is coming from. Now, I'm going to switch to a pencil. Like I said, it doesn't really matter which one you use. Well, with hatching, all we're going to do is just use little straight lines that are all going the same direction. Now, since I'm at the bottom of my circle, which is the farthest away from the light source, I'm really going to make a lot of little lines, make it nice and dense. When I say the word dense, I mean dark. You want to fill this up with a bunch of lines. But as you can tell, I'm kind of working in a curved motion. I want it to match this curved line of the circle. Almost like if I'm drawing a beard. I'm just going to kind of work down the sides and back up again. But as I get closer to the light source, I'm going to put less and less lines. It's going to get lighter and lighter as I get closer to the source. I'm going to go back down here and make this a little bit darker. We want to try to make it gradual. We don't want to go dark, medium, light. We kind of want to make it gradual as we move up. Just like that. The second one we're going to do is cross hatching. So I'm going to take the same idea of hatching and start using some lines. I'm going to curve these just a little bit. And again, I want to match the curve of that circle. But then I'm going to cross it. Make some more curved lines going up. I'm going to spread them out just a little bit more. I'm going to keep crossing them. But again, I'm going to do less and less each time. As I get closer to my light source, I should see fewer and fewer lines. I'm going to go back down here at the bottom and kind of cross hatch a little bit more, make it a little bit darker. So the bottom of the circle should be the opposite of the top of the circle. It should be dark at the bottom, light at the top. Now stippling is a little bit different. Stippling is a series of dots. And what that really does is it adds a lot of texture also to that shape to try to make it a form. Now, using this pencil, it's going to take me a while to do this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just stop the video for a second, and we're going to fast forward this process. Now, this one will test your patience, but be patient with it. Take your time. Don't get in a rush, because the overall effect that it could create is pretty interesting to the eye. It creates a lot more texture compared to the other ones. So what I'd like for you to do is we're going to take a break right there. We're going to start off with 3 circles, label them at the bottom, put your light source at the top, and just draw 3 little arrows so that you remember which way your light source comes from. Just practice hatching, cross-hatching, stippling. Remember, you want to start off dark, the farthest part from your light source, and get lighter and lighter as you move towards your light source. So go ahead and take a break, give that a try. In just a few minutes, come back to the rest of the video for the next step. Hey, welcome back. For the next step, what we're going to do is I've actually went ahead and took a picture of an apple. If you look, it should be right up here in the top corner of the video. And you can use that apple for reference. You can pause the video and look at it while you draw. But I'm going to use that apple for reference for my example. We're going to keep it very simple, but we want to try to apply those techniques to a real life object. So that object, obviously we picked a very simple shape. It's kind of a circle, so I'm just going to draw a circle shape of the apple. I've actually got it right here with me too, so I can kind of look while I draw. I'm just kind of sketching it out before I decide which line I want to make permanent. It's kind of flat on the bottom, and it's got the little stem at the top. So just a very simple, easy shape of an apple. Now, when you look at the video, or you look at the picture, you can see the light source is actually kind of coming from the corner because it's coming from the outside of my door. And what I'm going to do is not just draw an arrow this time, but I'm also going to draw a little oval on the corner of my apple. And that's going to help me remember which way my light source is coming from. So if it's coming from this way, I'm going to start my shading from this way. Now, a lot of people, when you hear shading, they want to start by pushing down hard and getting softer and softer and softer. And then some people even want to smear it. Well, the problem with that is your hands are full of natural oils. And when you smear it, it actually leaves kind of like a shiny look to it. And we want to kind of avoid that. It's distracting. So these techniques like hatching or cross-hatching or stippling kind of helps the eye not get caught up in like the oils that were smeared on there or anything like that. And also when you smear it, it kind of flattens everything back out as well. It's kind of nice, a little cheap because it creates a gradient, but sometimes a gradient doesn't help when you're trying to make something look realistic or make it look like real shadow. So with these techniques in mind, the hatching, the cross-hatching, the stippling, what we're going to do is start at the opposite corner. And I'm going to start with just some long curved lines. And I'm not going to draw a lot of them, but I'm going to start with them a little bit darker at the bottom, more dense, because I don't want to push down too hard on my pencil. I'm just going to start by putting them closer and closer, but then as I get closer to that light source, then I'm going to get lighter and lighter. And if you choose to do stippling, you could still do stippling the same way. Start off with a lot of dots at the bottom, but then get fewer and fewer as you get closer to the top. Now with an apple or other real life sources, a lot more bumps, curves, a lot more little detail that you can find when you're actually looking and drawing. But for this activity, we're just going to kind of keep it simple. And we're going to get lighter and lighter as we get closer to the light source. As we get closer, we're not even going to really touch this oval that we drew earlier. We'll get close to it, but we're not going to cover it. This is kind of a hatching just because I'm kind of going all one direction with the same curved line. But if I come in with the second one, and then they start crisscrossing, now it's more of a cross-hatching technique. And I'm keeping my lines curved to match the contour of the apple. We know the apple's curved, So we want to use curved lines. If I start using straight lines on a round apple, it's not going to look very realistic. So I'm trying to match the curved lines of the curved apple. It's going to make this outside shape just a little bit darker. And again, as I get closer to the light source, I'm going to use less and less lines. I'll make this a little bit darker down here. A little bit darker towards the bottom. So even though it may start off as a very deliberate line this way to crisscross, as you get into it, you can see that you're putting down so many lines that you start losing some of that crisscross effect. So there we go. I don't want to get too dark going this way closer to light because I'm not too interested in making sure it looks super realistic or anything like that. All I'm wanting to do today, my whole purpose or goal, is just to practice these techniques. We're not looking to master these techniques. We're just looking to practice these techniques. I know I've kind of made some other lines, but then you just draw a simple line on each side, and now your apple's sitting on your table. Now you've given yourself a background. So give this a try at home. Practice the 3 techniques. Grab a new piece of paper or flip over the other piece of paper. Try that apple that was up there in the top corner. Grab an apple on your own or a tennis ball or something around. Keep it simple. And give it a try by actually using the technique in an actual drawing. So I hope you give those techniques, the hatching, the cross hatching, the stippling. I hope you've drawn an apple a try. I know it's not the most exciting thing to draw an apple, but we're not concerned about the fact that it looks like an apple. We're not worried about that. All we're trying to do is figure out how we can apply the techniques that we've just learned. And I picked this Stormtrooper. This is a different one I've had done by an artist by the name of Ryan Lee. And the reason why I put this one up behind me is because he's done a great job of using the cross hatching with some of his wash lines. So it's not as dramatic as with the pencil, but a lot of these lines up here in the helmet that go from a dark to a light are cross hatching in these little bitty areas in and around the helmet. And that helmet's a very difficult, complicated shape to try to pull off as well. But he's still using the same basic technique. He's still using that cross hatching technique to get the same effect. So hopefully give it a try. If you've had any problems or you have any questions, like I said before, you know how to get a hold of me. I hope you just have fun with it. Give it a try. I hope you guys are doing well. Take care, and I'll see y'all later.